So you have a clear focus on design for customer repair, but what other strategies do you have? Do you collect and remanufacture, for instance, or recycle? Are you engaged in those types of things?
So I think like we selected also, so from the different circular strategies, we selected the one where we could have really a big impact. So we can decide how a device is put together, if you want, no? Designed together, to make sure that this repairability is easy. When you get to other strategies, so for instance, of course, we want users to keep their devices as long as possible. So we also do a lot of work through our brand and marketing to create that kind of attachment as well, so that customers keep it longer, which is very important for us. When it gets to, for instance, design for recycling, well, we are not there yet, I would say. In the end, a smartphone is a smartphone, and a smartphone has like a bunch of materials put together, which may be more or less glued, like that's the level of influence that we can have. So we can,
like the batteries.
Exactly. But still, and this is also related to your previous question, we still have to deal with recycling infrastructure that is, from the linear economy as well. And there is. I'll give you an example just to be very clear. When we did our recyclability study, you probably know, so we made a study to understand the materials that are in this phone, how they would behave in current recycling systems. And one thing that we have done, we have seen is, for example, the screen, the display. The back of the display is made of magnesium. You may say maybe magnesium is not the most interesting material, but it illustrates very well the point for recycling. So what we showed through the recyclability study is that if you are able to dismantle this phone before it gets into recycling streams, and you can collect all these screens on one side, and then you send this to light metal refining, then you can get a lot of this magnesium back. So we go from, if we would just send this phone for normal recycle, let's say, this would get more or less melted. Shredded.
Yeah.
Magnesium would be completely lost. If you are able to dismantle it, you get 80% of this magnesium back.
And dismantle it quickly and easily.
And that's the point. That's the problem. Like the problem today is that there is not value enough to have somebody that, even if it's this easy to dismantle, as I've shown, when you have millions and millions of devices to process as a recycler, these 3 seconds that took me to open may be a little bit too much already. And that's why the recycling methodologies that we have now are based on volumes and very much focused on certain materials that make that return on investment to be true.
Just coming on to the materials side of things for a second, and I remember many years ago you'd done work on looking at conflict materials as well. So that was one of the founding things in the business, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So Fairphone, before 2013, Fairphone was an awareness campaign, more or less, a very special and hands-on awareness campaign. So we were showing through mobile phones as well, not our mobile phone at that time, but through mobile phones, where these conflict minerals were. So tantalum in that famous yellow capacitor, like tin, tungsten, gold, and making people understand how, stuff that we bought every day, right? Like with our euros in our pocket, with our boats, was also, fueling conflicts in the world. Not fueling, but like the economic gains from trading from these materials were put into perpetuating certain conflicts. So that was really the beginning, and we've done a lot of work on that still. So we have today with Fairphone 2, we have 4 traceable supply chains all the way to the mine, and we also work with mines that are in high-risk areas. So we don't want to, let's say, escape the problem, but we want to try to tackle it. And so we work with different organizations to improve the conditions of those mines. Of course, the starting point is that they are out of conflict, so that's the point. But once they are out of conflict, we work in gaining that stability that will lead them to be much more than conflict-free. Conflict-free is only the beginning. It's only assuring that people can work freely, and they don't have to worry that a warlord will ask some illegal fee. And then after that, then we can work towards a more kind of fair trade kind of schemes.
Yeah. And this isn't just altruistic, ethical and moral things, although I know there is the word fair is in the name of your company and your products. There's also coming up in Europe good business sense about what you're doing. And that's always been the case, that it's good business sense. And there we see a number of different drivers, but one of them, as we know, new regulations coming in Europe in 2021, January 2021, where some of the materials you mentioned gold, tantalum, tungsten, tin. These are 4 materials which will have to be shown to be clean, if I can use that expression, that they're not coming from mines and sources that are in conflict and people suffering. So I think this is, you're shown the way before anyone else was looking at it, and well done to you, because I think this is going to become mainstream, and I think people will be coming to you and asking you, how do we do this?
Yeah. No, and that's great, and we very much welcome the new legislation in the EU. We would have liked more ambition into it, of course, because I mean, in the end, there will be more work with refiners, etc. But we also always advocate a little bit for doing a more proactive work, really using your power as a business, the power that the economy gives you as a business within this system, to be more regenerative, if you want. Not only try to be risk avoiding, but get into the depth of it and use your own operations, not try to avoid risk in your operations, but use your operations to do more good in a way.
Because it's too easy to say, oh, well, these are blacklist countries, we're not going to buy from them, so our problem solved.
And that's what we want to avoid.
And you've not solved any problem, and that's not fair.
Well, it's not fair to the people that are making their living
there. And this is a fair phone, so we're good there. Great, fantastic. Well, thanks very much.